Welcome to Jurassic Park.
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
I'm just a fucked up girl who's looking for my own peace of mind.
Welcome to the party, pal.
I'll be back.
I'll have what she's having.
I'm gonna make him an offer again.
Here's looking at you, kid.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello, I'm your host Jim McLean. Welcome back to another episode of More Than Pixels on a Screen, a spoilerific movie review podcast brought to you by Banterflix, cinematic discussion with a Northern Irish accent. Jesus, it's Baltic outside! Close the window! We'll have more of that in just a minute, actually.
You wouldn't be long getting frostbite.
Jesus, you're pure and fucking scundered. Because you're so cold. I am from Northern Ireland, Adam, so are you. And every week I have to go onto Google and go, Northern Irish slags. Not slags, slags.
Slags.
Northern Irish slang, because I think I just use the same one repeatedly.
Do you not look at the walls on Castle Court when you're walking in?
What, cock fun here?
No, they've got fucking Boutgy as you walk in.
I don't want to use boutgy just yet. I mean, that's like when we've given up.
Have I told you my favourite slang from here?
Go for it.
It's very specific. It's when you're on a night out and a girlfriend's boyfriend has started a fight with somebody and she just doesn't want it. So she'll go, hold on, I don't want to blow the fucking mic out. Fucking leave him! Leave him! That's my favourite.
Is that how you first met Shazzy Shankle?
Well, no, to say I wouldn't say that. No.
Yeah, poor wee Marty. It was almost like you were possessed there.
I just admire the man so much that I wanted to be like him.
Well, I suppose in preparation for our Christmas special, you've been having to think like Marty. Now, I want to know. We haven't actually sat down to write it yet. I love the way I say we, but I'm the ideas guy. But what's it been like? Does our Marty, is he good like Brando, but does he take direction?
You do have to tape all of your lines to somebody else's chest so you can remember them. And even then, he's like, let me get my readers.
Let me get the readers out. And he's like, Jesus, need to get a girl with a bigger set of jubblies to read that there. Can you blow that font up there? Is that Times New Roman?
It's like you're possessed by him.
I'm telling you, I mean, he's not even here this week. We are still, Adam, in 1999. But before we get there, it's time for my favourite section of the show, General Ramble, as we just kind of chat for a little bit. Pre-show chit-chat that all podcasts do. And I've had an eventful week the last 7 days or so. My mum was in a bad accident. Thank you to people who got in touch. She's good. She's badly bruised. She was in a car accident. And
it's good to clarify that because listeners to the podcast, whenever we say she had an accident, could really throw people off.
Yeah, considering our previous kind of chats about accidents. But I did laugh because you have to laugh in these situations when any with your mum. And you'll appreciate this, Adam. So we were talking about mum, as I say, was in a car accident. She had to get cut out of the car. And my mum wasn't annoyed about the car. She obviously was. She wasn't that annoyed the fact that our dog was in the car. Not our dog, but mum's dog was in the car. Thankfully, all okay. But she was more than annoyed that the fact one of her favourite sweaters had to get cut. Oh. And to the point where I was kind of saying to my mum, do you mean when she was sitting there, imagine the scene, Adam, you're in A&E, Charlie's lingering about somewhere in Casualty. Right? Here's a reference for the kids.
That was a fucking pull.
And your mum's there, she's all... Not your mum, but my mum's there. She's all braced up so she can't move her neck or anything like that. And she's telling you the story. And you're like, do you mean to tell me, mother, that I really shouldn't say, because, you know, our stalkery fans are going to be parading down the house. Do you mean to say the house on the road near where you live, Mum, you had your ditties out? You had your ditties out for all them firemen. Did your ditty get stuck on the steering wheel? And she's like, no, because my mum's quite posh, because she's originally from Malone Road. She's like, no, of course not, of course. I had a bra on. And there was a wee nurse who just kind of came in, and she's just like, I don't know what's going on here between you two. My wife's kind of looking at me, looking at the nurse and looking at my mum, and she just kind of shakes her head and she's like, yeah, it's just it's how they talk.
It is one of those things that, you know, the way they say, always wear clean trunks when you leave the house because you never know what might happen.
Rightfully so. So, ladies, or fellas, and anyone in between, if you want, don't leave house without a good clean bra. Love a good bra.
You know what?
Here, Adam, do the way we're cheeky chappies.
Aye.
What do you like with taking off a lady's bra? I'm terrible.
I would like to say that I'm good, but I'm not.
I'm really not. Like, my lovely wife, she'll actually, because we were traveling in the car quite a bit, I had the podcast on, and a couple of times she came up because we had it on. It just was on. Play the next episode, because I'm an egomaniac. Listen to us, aren't we funny? And a couple of times came up. It was like my lovely wife reference, and she just, I never said that. So I clearly have an idea of what my lovely wife is like in my head, but I think she'll. If you're listening to this, sweetheart, love you, but she can literally just put her hand at the back, just bing bong, gone. I'm sitting there for like 2 hours.
See, I've had the pleasure. Of. Now, let's get into this, Jim. Right.
This movie review podcast about bras.
My type in my head would be a woman with smaller breasts and a big bum. I'm a big bum man, right? But fortunately for myself, any woman I've ever been with has been of the bigger breasted variety. So in my head,
is this starting like one of those Christmas appeals that you see in advert? Adam always wanted a girl with a small chest and a big bum. He's still waiting. For $4.99 a month, you can make Adam's dreams come true.
I just, I don't, well, but anyway, so, because you have...
I just want to say, this was not when we were kind of chatting for about 5 minutes before this, none of this.
No, none of this. So, whenever you're like growing up and you think to yourself, before you get with girls, you think you're fucking Don Quixote, where you're like, I'll be able to just go bing and flick off a fucking bra just with one finger. I don't know about you, mate, but a bigger boobed woman will have more what's the word, clips on the back of a brassiere than a smaller one. So where you could be like ping ping with a 2, I'm going for a 4. I don't know what I mean.
Well, I like to say that I'm sitting there for a good hour, and eventually it's like I'll hear the frustrated sounds of my lovely wife going, yeah, that's one.
Now, tell me this, Jim. Whenever you're getting undressed, doing the whole getting ready for the mummy daddy dance, are you like myself, t-shirt off like John Cena in one swoop?
Oh yeah, I'm there, and then it's just I maybe leave the t-shirt dangling on the boyo just for a wee bit of a wee tease, and then coming back to a movie we talked about many moons ago, Demi Moore or Demi Moore. If Dr. Nicole's listening, I'll maybe just start putting on a wee bit of do now, yeah, little bird. Annie Lennox, that's the name of the singer. I had to sing the song first before I could get the name of the artist.
Do you want to learn the other day that, do you know the cover for I Spit on Your Grave? Mm-hmm. And there's like the girl in the pants with the knife.
Yeah.
That's Demi Moore.
I did not know that.
There we go.
There we go.
Back to movies.
There we go. Back to movies. You've saved it. But just then on another tangent note, because as I mentioned with our bit of Northern Irish crack at the start, it's been pure Baltic, hi?
It's been fucking chilling Meister General, especially in the old Neeson house.
Yeah, you were telling me you've had a rough run of it this week.
Oil ran out. Oil machine, which is called a boiler, stopped working.
You old mechanic, you. Is that when you phoned the guy? It's like, the oil machine, there doesn't seem to be any of the juice in it. You mean oil in your boiler? Aye, that's it.
You just need to flick the switch. Now, if there's more than three switches, I'll be at it all day. But if it was a 2-switch situation...
Now, we were talking about this, and I said to you, I can immediately empathise and sympathise with your situation, because many moons ago, Adam, now it wouldn't have been 99, so I don't know if it's relevant. Really, even if any of this stuff has been relevant, but similar situation happened to me when I was at university. My late friend Sally's no longer with us, Gary Gibson, and we had a house on the Donegal Road. I was going to say Donegal Street, Donegal Road.
Whereabouts the Donegal Road?
Directly opposite the hospital.
Oh, what number?
I can't remember.
I had a friend lived on that exact.
Can't remember. Literally, when or all the cars come out, the top entrance of the city hospital.
Yeah.
That's where we lived, and there was like we were at the end of the row.
Like where the houses lead directly onto the street.
Yeah.
I've been in those houses.
There you go, mate.
Not
Well,
wild.
I'll tell you now. We're talking about two boyos, two young studs. Never been cleaner because we had an electric shower. So you're like getting up at 8 o'clock, have we electric shower? You get home from university. Oh, what a fancy wee shower. Never. I was like, you ran your hand along my arm and it just squeaked.
Is this the showers that come off, like where you could like hose yourself down with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, because like some showers now,
It's all fixed.
It's all fixed.
That's
and they come,
mixer stuff. That's coming in the hot and the cold. You need your juicing the oil machine.
Now, just before we move on from the shower situation, you shoving the hose up your hole to clean your hole, or what's up?
Nah, I'm not going that far.
Well,
Some people need to be clean. I don't think I need to be that clean.
oh, well, you must know.
Okay.
A certain Arspert might have some input on this.
I reckon Joe McElroy, Banderflick's resident Arspert, indeed, will have some thoughts on that. Or if he's just listening to this now, he's got to run to the shower. And he might have a really, in that part of Belfast where he lives, there might be paramedics called.
To be fair, Joe did go to Japan recently.
He did.
And I'm pretty sure we had a conversation about using the old Japanese toilets.
I've used one of them before.
Have you been to Japan?
Not Japan, but I've used one of them before. It was in New York somewhere.
Ever used a bidet?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Well, that's that bidet I'm talking about. It's exhilarating.
But was yours the electric one, or is yours just you stick your hole in the wee sink thing?
I just remember I was 16 or 17 in LA, and I'm assuming it was a bidet. Came up clean anyway.
Why is the bath full of shade?
These baths are very popular here. Anyway, so before we go on, I should say, so we were in 99, and a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about Deep Blue Sea, did we somehow end up talking about Muppets?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes. Well,
Jim, when are we not talking about Muppets?
that is true. We always like a bit of a Muppet talk on this pod. Now, I'm going to make sure, hopefully, I haven't deleted it. Yes, here we go. So I was just sitting. This actually came in. It was last Friday, so it was all before my mum's accident, and I just got away from Danny Brown. Thanks for the shout out at the end of the Deep Blue episode. Of course, I listened to it all. Of course, he'd say that. He just didn't fall asleep this time. And on that note, actually, I know you were going down anyway. I just kind of, I didn't really hitch your ride. I took you. We were down to Ballymena for the Fright Club NI's 5th birthday.
Yes.
Yeah, we got cake and everything.
And hugs from the boys.
And hugs and a screening of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Isn't that weird? I've known Gav for about 4 years now, and that's the first time I've ever met him.
What do you think of his hug?
Oh, it's great.
He gives a good hug.
He does give a good... So does Danny. Those Ballymena boys know how to hug.
Who's better? Gav's was more intense because Gav slipped his tongue in my ear.
Oh, I see.
Danny gave me a wee kiss, but... Danny gave me a wee kiss on my forehead, but Gav just reached in and was like, really nice for you to come here. And next minute, all you heard was... We talk in the air. I was like, it wasn't enough for it to be... I was like, is this appropriate? Mm-hmm. It was just short enough for it to feel, that's kind of sweet.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks. Thought about it all the way home. That's why I didn't speak.
That's why we drove to fucking...
That's why we got lost on the way home. I was so distracted by Gav Logan just gently slipping his tongue in my ear.
Happens to the best of us.
It happens all the time. Anyway, Danny sent us this little voice note because he was very keen, because clearly Gav does not let him talk about Muppets a lot. And he wanted to talk about...
Well, not specific things about Muppets.
No. Well, we came up with a thing, if we could shag, murder, or marry a Muppet. I can't remember who we picked, but I know you were very impressed when I went, like, the male Muppets aren't off... They're not off the menu, because it's like, they're Muppets. It's all right. It's cool. Because anyway, like the Lady Muppets are voiced by men.
Are you see when you're getting sucked off by a Muppet? Are you really getting sucked off, or are you just getting whacked off?
I don't know. Danny, message in. Okay, but here we go. Hopefully you can hear this, listeners. I'll play this now. So this is Danny with his little interjection about his thoughts on all things Muppets.
Hello, Adam and Jim. It's Danny here. Thank you very much for calling me out in the last podcast. I listen to the whole thing the whole way through. I love hearing you boys ramble about all things movies and or otherwise. And yeah, your most recent episode, I had to weigh in on your Muppets, your Muppets fuck, marry, kill. So yeah, absolutely love the Muppets. Obsessed with Kermit and Jim Henson and all the rest, but yeah, fuck, marry, kill a Muppet. I think I would fuck Cookie Monster. You just gotta like slap a few cookies between your ass cheeks and he's gonna go to town and give you the best remedy of your life. So yeah, I'm gonna fuck Cookie Monster. I'm gonna marry Sweetums, the ogre, because his name's Sweetums. He's gonna treat you right, isn't he? He's gonna look after you. So yeah, I'm gonna marry Sweetums, and then I'd probably kill Bunsen Honeydew. I'd probably have to kill Dr. Bunsen Honeydew, because he just, like, he acts all oblivious to the pain and suffering of Beaker. But I don't know, I think he knows rightly, and I think he gets a kick out of poor Beaker being tortured and blown up and electrocuted and all the rest. So I probably have to kill him, like. But yep, that's my fuck, marry, kill for the Muppets. Hopefully not too vulgar. But yeah, love you guys, bye.
I like to think that Danny was just sitting in the cinema or at work somewhere just recording that. That's why he was laughing. Just, and then people are kind of going, why would you want to fuck, kill or marry a Muppet? I like the way he's obsessed with Kermit but wouldn't want to fuck him.
Also, just want to...
Cookie Monster's not a Muppet. He's
that's what I
from
was about
Sesame
to say.
Street.
Danny's going to have to resubmit his entry.
Oh, fuck.
As Cookie Monster is not an official Muppet. Would have took...
He's still a Jim Henson production.
But what's
creation, I should say.
What's the Muppet equivalent to Cookie Monster on the Muppet Show?
Fuzzy Bear?
He's not as ravenous.
For Danny's hole?
No, you don't want Fuzzy Bear eating yours. That's a fucking...
Because he'd be doing it and then he'd be like, waka waka, or trying to tell you a joke.
He'd leave his hat on, though.
I think that would be romantic. Is that like would that be like the equivalent of us as men, you know, getting ready for some furious jumping and leaving our socks on?
Oh, you don't do that. We've got into this in the last week podcast. You put your pajama legs over your feet.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about this.
Then you go to town.
Yeah, right, okay.
Hold on. Well, I do have a Muppet tie-in, because I said to you before the podcast started, I have a bit of a, what's the word?
You were very excited about this, and I said, cannot wait to the ramble. This opening 20 minutes has become quite rambly, but you were like, Jim, it can't wait. You're ready to explode. So What is this news, Adam?
So just announced before we came on the air that in Disney's Hollywood Studios in Orlando, Florida, which I'm going to in January, Jim. Very excited about it. There's a lot of stuff closing down, right?
Right.
Now, they announced
ahead of Adam Neeson's arrival.
I know, what the fuck. And they announced a few months ago at D23 that there's going to be a Monsters, Inc. land opening up, right? And everybody was like, where's that going to go? Because there isn't really much space in that park. So where's that going to go? So they announced today, Jim, that they're closing down the Muppets section and the Muppets Theatre in this theme park to fucking bring in Monsters, Inc. Now, to soften the blow, they've been like, oh, we're going to re-theme a different roller coaster to be an Electric Mayhem roller coaster. Jim, if we haven't learned anything from the Muppets movies, you never close down a fucking Muppet theatre.
No, if I know the Muppets, there'll be a telethon.
Yes. And they'll get the Martin Short will be there.
Yeah. Steve Martin.
Steve Martin will be there.
Glenn Close?
Yes. They always get the weirdest people. Like, look at Muppets Most Wanted.
Chapel Roan will be there. She won't have a clue what a fucking Muppet is. Sabrina Carpenter will definitely be there.
Oh, Sabrina Carpenter, her aesthetic matches the Muppets, apart from like all the sex stuff she does that people get freaked out with.
Freaked out?
Well, you know, like, I can't believe they're taking children to this. And it's like, have you ever seen any artist from the last 100 years? They're all about sex.
Yeah. I remember there's a video, I think, is it from Lady Gaga's residency in Vegas, where she's like, you brought your daughter to see this, so I'm just gonna add extra fucks to my songs. And you're like, you know what, Lady Gaga, I respect you.
He's down south, apparently.
Was she?
She's filming
Joker 3?
Oh, Jesus, no. Wednesday, season 2.
Ooh. Lady, if you're listening.
Mrs. Gaga.
Gaga, if you're listening, come on up. We're two cheeky boys.
On up.
You can talk us through bras, maybe give us some advice. Because as cheeky boys, Adam, do you ever wonder, right? Do you ever wonder the mystery? Because my lovely wife does talk about this. And she says there's nothing better in this world than just being able to go around the house braless. And you're like, I don't know, like, would just being going out with no pants on, is that the equivalent? I don't know the...
I don't think so. I don't think... Because you want a snugness to your bollocks. You don't really want a free flow ball.
No. So any female listeners out there, or anyone just experienced with braless ladies, or just want to share their opinions on this subject, let us know. Also,
if you're a woman and you just want to walk around with no bra on.
Now, I want to clarify, clothes are still on.
Yeah.
Clothes are, it's not like she's going, yes, you should be on page 3 or something. Sorry, don't know where that came from. I think it came from Castle Street. But I'm just, I want it explained in a sentence. Like, what does it feel like? And I feel like the next time we have a female contributor on, and I don't feel I can jump and throw that question out without being going, I'm sorry, what? So I'm going to throw it out there. Ladies, let Adam and I know. Can you just explain the feeling of what it feels like to go around with no bra on?
And we're not being sexual about it.
No, I'm not being sexual. I'm just kind of like, why is it such a... Like, is it just a restricting thing? Is it just the fact that, like... Because surely a bra is there giving support and comfort. But why then is it such a good thing? Because clearly, I've seen a few ads, and if the bra is not comfortable, you need to go for a bra fitting.
What a job.
What a job. I keep getting knocked back. Keep setting up a stall outside Marxie's. Free bra fittings. Aye. Ample. Right. Okay. On that note, just before we do, I think we'll use our time machine and go back to 1999. So last week we were talking about South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut. Earlier in this month we were talking about Deep Blue Sea. This week we're going for something completely different. We're going with Paul Thomas Anderson's third feature, Magnolia, which is a film I vividly remember when I first came up to Queens, when you kind of stop going to see just stuff like Deep Blue Sea, South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut, that this was something I remember going to see at the QFT, and I think even more recently, although it would still be maybe 10 years ago, watching it. I think I mentioned this in the last pod, going to see it on the barge. There was a group there, a community cinema group, did a screening of that, which was fab. But this was probably the first Paul Thomas Anderson film I saw in the cinema. I know Boogie Nights was quite popular. Didn't see Boogie Nights in the cinema. I've seen it at home. I have it on DVD. I have it on Blu-ray, I think. And even downloaded on my iTunes account because, what can I say? You have to have it in all formats. Big fan of that film. I think maybe later on we'll wrap up the pod by talking about some of the other Paul Thomas Anderson films that we like. Now, before we play a clip, Adam, I thought we started well with this pod with 99. I thought we would use the interweb as our way of going back into the future. So I thought we'd go with another ad. We didn't do it last week. We were able to somehow get back to 1999 just through the power of music. This week we'll go back. We started this in the first episode with Deep Blue Sea. I think we'll play another ad from 99. Now, this might just be because this is one I found rather than personally picked, because I didn't go through the full timings. But here we go, Adam. Do you remember this advert?
Do you have any of these that aren't reduced?
Sorry, madam?
You know, perfect ones, not reduced ones.
They are perfect, madam. They've just been cut in price, like lots of our goods.
Really? We'll see. Sure this is cold enough? Not skimping on electricity, are you? Just checking the weight. Do you still have the baby changing room?
Yes, madam, that way.
Thank you. Do these taste all right to you? 240, right. 1, 2, 3.
Because Tesco are committed to keeping prices permanently low, we've just cut the price of over 300 everyday products without cutting any corners.
It's all right, they've all been checked.
Tesco. Every little helps.
Remember that ad?
I do weirdly remember that. But because, like, Tesco over here, I remember whenever I was younger, we would shop in Stewart's.
Oh.
And, like, I don't know if it was, like, my parents being like, oh, I don't want, you know, to shop in the big budget places.
Yeah.
But, like, Tesco, whenever the big one opened in Conswater was a big deal. And then whenever, like, Asta came in to, like, Northern Ireland for the first time.
There was Morrison's, I think, for a wee while.
Yeah, Newton Ards, there was Morrison's.
There's not seeing Safeways or something, no, or is that a prison?
No, there was Safeways as well. But yeah, I do remember that ad because it was like an old woman, isn't it? Like with glasses. Is it a famous actress?
Yeah.
Is it Hetty Wayne?
Juliette Binoche. I can picture. I'll put the ad up for you again, and let's see.
Yes, that's exactly what I remember. Oh yeah,
it's what do you call her from Fawlty Towers? Is it not?
Oh yeah, Cyril.
Yeah. The Prue something.
Prue Tars.
Yes. Message in. Who was the lady in Fawlty Towers alongside John Cleese?
And you'll win a kiss.
Yes. And Gav Logan will gently tongue your ear.
Will not use it because I was watching them during the week and they're not as good as I remember. Because I was like, oh, I'll send you a few 99 advertisements. Do you remember the old Papa Nicole?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember how that ended? The storyline of that ended?
No.
She gets married.
Up to Duff?
No, she gets married to is it Vic Reeves? And then Bob Borderbert does a whole like graduate like banging on the window. Papa legal.
I don't remember that at all.
Not as good. Not good.
It's not as good as remember the Nescafe ads. What do you call him? Giles from Buffy. Anthony
Head.
Yeah. He finally got the girl. Yeah, I didn't want him to.
Did I ever tell you about the time I applied to be the milk tray man?
No.
Don't get too excited. But like, there was about 10 years ago, they were like, we're bringing the milk tray man back.
So just for our younger listeners who might be unfamiliar with the milk tray man, who also famously, I remember right, was George Lazenby at one point as well. Mm-hmm. All because the lady loves the milk tray.
It was like a James Bond type character. I think that's why they got Lazenby. Who would like sneak in the middle of the night in his spy gear.
Yeah.
And leave a lovely box of milk tray just for the ladies.
And a big shite in the toilet.
He's like, I've been eating fucking licorice all the way here. Just went straight to my stomach. But about 10 years ago, they were like...
Is that what you had? Is that why you were like, oh, well, it was like Uncle Andy auditions? Like, nah, we'll maybe go a different direction.
The name's Bond. James Bond, Tipner.
No milk tray.
What's a James Bond quote that's not that?
I must be dreaming.
What's that from?
Goldfinger. Hello, my name is Pussy Galore.
Oh, Jesus, that's some fucking name you get. No, that's the Marty.
I must be dreaming. Or other lines that you go, oh, Sean. Oh, no.
Oh, well, not do those.
It's like, oh, Sean, it's like, why do Chinese girls taste different? It's like, all right, Sean, calm down, mate. When join the National Front with your toupee.
You know, Tiffany, they asked me to join Spectre, but I'm already in the UDA. There we go.
Sorry, we've digressed. So you put an audition for the milk tray ad where it's like you leave some lovely chocolates to a lady, and then at the same time you're like, here, love, I couldn't get that flushed.
Double flusher in there. You're going to have to get the scraper out. Yeah, so I was like, fuck it, I'll apply for it. Did all my details, set my wee photo up. Didn't hear back. But imagine though.
Imagine if you'd actually, I think maybe we should put it up on TikTok. I think we should maybe do our own little...
Me as the milk tray man?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I think we should do you as the milk tray man.
That'd be great.
All dressed in black.
Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
That sounds great.
That's for Christmas. Along with my idea that I stole from you, where we would do our own little Christmas advert featuring, what do you call her? The gravy. What was it?
Yeah, for Bisto.
Yeah, Bisto. We wanted to do our own little advert in honour of the lady that was in Bisto, who sadly passed away.
Whose name? We'll never know.
She drowned in Bisto.
Oh no. Is it Wee Mo from EastEnders?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Okay. Anyway, I feel that we have digressed, but I think this is important information in the rambling section of the pod that we created and then took away because we would do a general ramble, and then I just brought it back this week because there's half an hour of a movie review podcast.
It's funny, we're getting it now because we will talk, because Magnolia is quite a deep, hard film to get through. So we're all just like farts for the first half an hour.
Okay, so I think on that note, we will, steering of changing in tonal direction. I think we'll play a clip of Magnolia and then we'll discuss the movie.
I want to talk a little bit more about your background. You made some references earlier to subjective human experiences and terrible things. And actually, I'm confused about your past, is the thing.
Is that still lingering?
Just to clarify.
It's so boring,
I just want to clear some things up.
Yeah, excuse me. See, thank you, love. It's a funny thing that this is an important element of Seduce or Destroy. Facing the past is an important way of not making progress. This is something I tell my men over and over and over.
This isn't meant...
I try to teach my students to ask, what is it innate of?
Are you asking me that?
Yes.
Well, in trying to figure out who you are
innate of
how...
what?
Well, Frank, I'm saying that in trying to figure out who you are...
See, I have more important things to put
no, it's all
myself
important,
into.
Frank. I think this is something very important that you might need to think about putting yourself into.
Not really.
Frank, it's not like I'm trying to attack you here.
No.
I just...
Okay, hey, this is how you want to spend your time. Then go. But you're going to be surprised at what a waste it is. The most useless thing in the world is that which is behind me. Chapter 3.
So that's a clip of Magnolia, Tom Cruise in full flight as rather unlikable character, but possibly one of his finest performances. I feel we will come back to this. So, as we mentioned, Paul Thomas Anderson's third feature. A pretty impressive ensemble all round in terms of cast, in terms of A-listers at the time, up-and-coming actors as well, that deals with a series of interconnected stories, interwoven stories that deal with various people struggling with grief, a quest for love, coming to terms, looking for love and happiness and where they can find that. And I guess in that whole idea, the idea at the centre is the idea of chance and coincidence. What role they play in. I don't know if anything else you want to say for the setup, Adam.
It's sort of a movie of people wanting, seeking, and maybe not getting forgiveness.
Yeah.
And it's people at a stage in their life, and because all the characters are different ages in their life, and it's something we talked about on the show multiple times, multiple films, generational trauma.
Yeah.
And how that affects kids of bad parenting. You see it in this with the quiz kid's father, and of course the guy that runs the quiz. But
I do, I know we're going to be trying to be serious, but there is times when I when I was watching that, and I know we're going right from the start. Right to the end. I do love the little boy who's a genius. He's very much kind of Sheldon Cooper-esque, and this kind of genius who was going for a record on the quiz, and he decides he wants to be more than that. I mean, he doesn't want to just be this freak show for people to kind of point fun and laugh. That fact that he's clever, that shouldn't be there for people's amusement. But like at the end of the film, near the end of the film, goes into his father's while he's asleep. It's like, you need to be kinder to me. Go to sleep. Or no, go back to bed. Go back to bed. Go back to bed. You need to be kinder to me, Daddy. Get back to bed. I don't know why. There's other little things. Can I just get the silliness out of the way now?
Yeah.
The way Julianne Moore says the word cock.
Yeah.
Really, I don't know why. I was sitting watching this on my laptop the other night, and it just came up that scene. And that scene, in particular, there's the sequence with her in the pharmacy. I think's amazing.
Yes.
And then I'd misremembered it in my head. And then when you put it in the full context after watching the film, you're like, yeah, okay. And then that sequence, I just think she's an amazing actor. An amazing actor, and kind of so expressive with her face, and kind of this paranoia that people are judging her. She's in for this medication that is for her husband, her older husband. She's a trophy wife who married to a man who is dying. Earl, played by Jason Robards. I had to just go down there. And he is slowly dying of cancer.
He's a famous TV producer.
Yes. And she was there. She married him pretty much like for the money.
Yeah.
And, there's other things about his past that I guess we will come into. But it's the sense that as the trophy wife, she has fallen in love with him, and now as he's dying, she doesn't have that much time with him left. She's there legitimately to get his medication, and she's being judged. And the guy's going, oh, you don't want to mix up that. Oh, that's a lot of hot stuff. What are you getting this for? And she's just amazing in that sequence. I guess the score all amplifies that as well. But maybe it gives hope for Donald Trump that not Ivana. What's his? Melania will maybe one day truly love him.
I don't think it's going to happen. No. Should we say how everything is sort of connected, just as a general overview?
Yes.
So you have...
I love the way Adam's like, yes, we're going to do a serious pod this week.
So, because I love Magnolia, it's one of my favorite films. So you have the producer and his wife, Julianne Moore, and also his caretaker is Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah.
He has a sort of famous son who is Tom Cruise, who is a motivational speaker for incels.
Yeah.
The TV show he's producing is called it's basically Are You Smarter Than a 10-Year-Old?
Yeah. School Around the Corner.
It's School Around the Corner with Frank Mitchell.
But with classical music. A lot of classical music.
And the presenter of that show is Philip Baker Hall. His estranged daughter is a drug addict who is gets in connection with
Jim. John C. Reilly's Jim.
John C. Reilly's
the police cop.
Jim, who is a police cop who's it means good but is a bumbling fool.
Yeah.
And then Philip Baker Hall's presenting a show, and the kid, who's the smartest kid pretty much in the world, is going to beat a record.
Stanley, isn't it?
Stanley.
Yeah.
Beat the record that was set
by Donnie
Smith 20 years before, played by
the shoveler.
Played by
William H. Macy.
William H. Macy, thank you. And that's everybody, isn't it?
Yes.
And then you've got Alfred Molina as dickhead boss.
Yes.
Well, it's not really a dickhead, he just wants money.
But he just doesn't want to give his money to someone who doesn't think it's worth it, because Donnie is this guy because all, as you say, kind of the intergenerational trauma, these characters that are scarred by things that have happened. So like the likes of Donnie is a contestant on this show, and he was much younger, set the record. One was £100,000. The money was then, his parents never give him any cent of that money.
But people know him as the kid that won that money.
Yes, that's what he's known for. And he's someone who's madly in love with a waiter at a bar, and is it 30 grand he needs to get braces?
Yeah.
Because the guy in the bar has braces.
Yeah.
And he thinks if he has braces,
if he has good teeth, then they'll be able to connect. Yeah. He loves this man from afar.
But has never spoke to him up until the events in this movie.
And it's one of my favourite
scenes. Doesn't it take place over 3 nights?
3 nights, yeah. And one of my favourite scenes with Donnie in the bar and Goodbye Stranger from Supertramp plays underneath. Oh my goodness, Jim. Speak about moments in cinema that elevate me out of my seat. Is the Goodbye Stranger moment in Magnolia. And it's one of those Magnolia has several moments like that, and I think that's why I spoke about it on a previous podcast. I used to watch this movie every night for about 2-3 months. And it is a 3-hour movie, but it's a movie that hit just all the right beats for me. I suppose I was going through a hard time in my life as well, so I was able to relate to some of the characters, but Paul Thomas Anderson's directing and the fluidness of how he interconnects every story and the flow of the emotional beats throughout the movie, just for like a film like this, it could have been a real downer, but there's something fun about watching this movie, even though it is fucking tragic.
Yeah, there is a sense of humour to it. I mean, one of the characters I really like is John C. Reilly's Jim. Yeah. And it's weird. I vividly remember watching this for the first time and going, that's the John C. Reilly I know from comedies.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a serious actor. Oh, he's a pretty good serious actor. And I know it's a small thing and it's probably pretty much insignificant in the grand scheme of this podcast. I like the fact that he's a cop, but he's a good guy.
Yeah.
That he's not this... I think of all the characters, I think he doesn't... Well, he does suffer trauma in this. There's a sequence... I know we're kind of in full kill, spoilers. Probably for him, the big trauma is the fact that he loses his gun during a shootout, and he makes him the ridicule of his fellow officers. That's why when he's out on a date with Claudia, and that's when we start to see her revelations, because she is a drug addict. She has a problem with a coke addiction, and it's not the bottles.
Nope.
She's not swigging 2-litre bottles of coke, by the way, going, oh, Jesus, will you hear the burp out of this? No, so she's a coke addict, but I like the fact that Paul Thomas Anderson wrote him as a good guy. Like, it's not like, oh, he's a crooked cop, or like he's doing underhanded things or anything like that. He's a genuinely good guy. And I know it's a small thing, but I just think in grand scheme of... in movie... And there's another thing I love about this movie, is the fact that the movie's constantly kind of referencing, scenes like this, they only happen in movies. And you know why? Because they're great scenes, and people like those kind of scenes in movies, like the scenes where Philip Seymour Hoffman's trying to reach out to Tom Cruise to let him know that his estranged father is dying. He's passing away. He's dying. He's terminally ill from cancer. And he wants to, his father's dying wish is to reach out to his estranged son. And there's constantly little references like that why is these kind of things only happen in the movies.
Yeah. And it is Philip Seymour Hoffman on the phone to the incel company trying to get a hold of him, and they're like, do you want to sign up for... Yeah. And he's like, no.
Do you know what I love in that sequence, or just before, when he's trying to find, isn't it Jimmy? Isn't that Tom Cruise's character? When he's like, he knows where he's seen adverts for this guy, this real chauvinist. Very much, if you're looking now in 2024, like an Andrew Tate.
Yes.
Kind of, that's when I was watching this going, oh yeah, he's quietly judging you, but he's also Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
The fact that he's basically saying that men are the alphas, and I can make it. That woman that you want to fuck at the office, I'll make her like you. I can make her like you if you follow my system. But I like the fact that Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, it's Phil.
Yep.
He phones the local stores, like, hiya, yeah, can I get some cigarettes? Yeah. Can I get I don't know, washing powder? I forget what else he orders. Like, do you guys do Playboy? It's like, yeah, I'm on Playboy. Do you have Hustler? Yeah. It's like, okay, can I get that and can I get it delivered? Oh, by the way, just forget about the cigarettes and the washing powder. Just get the Playboy and the Hustler.
Which is fair enough.
Yeah. We've all been there.
Well, we've spoken about it before with Front Magazine.
Yeah. Loaded.
Oh, Loaded. Nuts. Do you think, just a wee tangent, do you know, like Nuts Magazine and stuff, they would have like free things with them?
Yeah.
Like, what were they? I never was old enough to buy them when I had the free stuff. But
posters.
Was it posters?
Usually posters. Lucy Pender comes to mind. Michelle Thorne. Abby Titmus.
Do you want to quote it?
What's she doing now, Abby? She's licking my arsehole.
A movie just as good as Magnolia.
Yes, I'm a silly boy. Poor old John Leslie. Anyway, well, I shouldn't say poor old John Leslie, but yeah, John Leslie's finest star.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else he's done.
Yeah. Maybe he hosts some TV shows. That's about it.
Don't know who that is.
Anyway, yes, so Magnolia. Yeah. Magnolia. Yeah, it's a 3-hour, you touched on it. So it's a 3-hour film. Now, I'll admit, I watched it this week in prep for the show in 3 sittings, just because with the week I have, I've been travelling up and down from Belfast back down to Yoldy, Tyrone, and just by the time I get into bed with the laptop and all, it's like, right, okay, throw this on. And I never find myself getting bored, but I can find myself drifting. It's like, I actually want to watch this. Mm-hmm. And I'll put it on. I think if you're making this kind of thing now, my fear is that would probably be made as a HBO limited series and people will be raving about it.
There'd be an episode about
Can you believe the sequence with the frogs? Oh my God, it just touched me so well.
What age would you have been when this came out?
So I think we touched on this before. I was 17. You were 6.
I was 6. Was there sort of anybody talking at the time be like, the fuck's the frogs about?
I don't remember, because I think, as I've said earlier in this pod, as a 17-year-old Jim, I was probably like, let's go see Wild Wild West. Let's go see Deep Blue Sea, Magnolia. Yeah. Let's go see South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Cut. Anything big and silly. A summer blockbuster. And I've said this before. I remember coming up to Queen's to study politics and drama and being introduced to a group of like dorm mates. Mm-hmm. And we were like, hey, we're going to go to the QFT. We hear it's a cool, hip and happening place. They didn't say that. I said that. And they took me to see Moulin Rouge. And I kind of discovered QFT. And I don't know, so that would have been 2000, I don't know, Magnolia was 99. I definitely seen it for the first time at the QFT. Well, it was a re-release, maybe, I don't know if they did it back then, they probably did, kind of the way now they do in the run-up to the Oscars. Mm-hmm. They do, try this, try that. Because I remember you went in the other way to the QFT, I don't know, do you remember that? Round up Botanic?
Yes.
Went through there. And I remember going to see Moulin Rouge for the first time and I fell in love with the QFT the first time I ever went into it. It's like, oh wow, this is like so different from the cattle shed we have in Oma, where it's just like, you got your popcorn with that ticket, boom, and you've got your big bucket of popcorn and you just watch it. It's like, oh, you can actually, because I always have loved cinema. Mm-hmm. Always have loved cinema, but it's just kind of various guises. And I think it's the case when I went to university, and I know, not to bring up the name of the podcast, Adam, but it was then when I kind of really started to think about it as more than just pixels on a screen.
Yeah.
Patent pending like 20 years later.
With Magnolia, the first time I seen it was...
Now, did you come to, as in, you were interested in Paul Thomas Anderson, or did you just like, oh, there's a wee DVD cover with wee flower in the front?
I must have came out at the angle of... There Will Be Blood. I think that would have been around the time that I started getting like big into film.
I drink your milkshake.
I'm finished. Dip dip.
No, we promised ourselves, Adam.
I drink your milkshake. Dip dip. Tastes like herb. I think with There Will Be Blood, I would have been like, I need to, because with every director that I love, I'm like, I need to absorb all of your work. So with Paul Thomas Anderson, I think I watched maybe Boogie Nights After, There Will Be Blood. Harriet I watched on Film 4. I distinctly remember that. I think even Film 4 maybe did a Paul Thomas Anderson week, and maybe that's how I got all of it. But Magnolia I definitely watched on DVD for the first time. Because I remember I still have the same DVD copy that I first got, and just being fucking absorbed by it. It's one of those.
Well, what is it about him that, as you are a filmmaker in your own right, what about Paul Thomas Anderson grabs your interest?
I think his sort of ability to make human characters feel human, but also heightened to the extent where it's interesting enough for cinema. You know, he's able to take characters like Daniel Plainview in There Will Be Blood, and you have the luxury of it being Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
So obviously it's able to be bigger than it is, but everybody else in that movie is delivering performances just as good as Daniel Day-Lewis. But when you go back to his other movies, like John C. Reilly in Hard 8, or Sydney, if you want to call it that, he's the in for somebody like me at that age, because like you say, we're like Step Brothers. I'm like, oh fuck, this guy can be a serious actor. And then you go in and then you go, fuck, this other guy, Philip Baker Hall, he's also fucking incredible. And then you go off and you watch his movies, and it's, I don't know who Paul Thomas Anderson's big influences are. I would say maybe Cassavetes, probably Lumet. The story of Paul Thomas Anderson going to film school, and on the second day, the person running the lecture said, if you're here to make Terminator 2, this isn't the class for you. And Paul said, well, why not? We don't make movies like that. And he just got up and left.
Good lad.
That's the sort of...
I'm just reading here, apparently, according to Wikipedia, that glorified interest, a lot of his references, he talks about Robert Altman, Jonathan Demme, Robert Downey Sr., who's in Magnolia as well, Alfred Hitchcock, of course, who didn't he influence John Huston, Stanley Kubrick, Akira Kurosawa, Mike Leigh, David Marnett, Anthony Mann, Vincent Minnelli, Max Obulus, I'm going to say that if I'm getting Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, etc., Orson Welles and Billy Wilder. And do you know what? I'm watching that, I'm reading that, and you can see that in Magnolia. You can see all those kind of influences, and even more so like later films. Like I'll admit though, I haven't seen The Phantom Thread yet. So I thought it was like, oh, is this the latest Phantom Menace? The next follow-up? It's like Deep Blue Sea all over again. But Licorice Pizza, I don't love as much as some. You're a fan of Licorice Pizza.
I love it, yeah.
I think it's a great film in that sense that it's, much like this, it's an impressive ensemble, but it's more clearly structured and kind of where the story it's trying to do. And it's kind of love letter to the kind of glory days of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Well, it's not inherently a film about Hollywood, but that's in the DNA of the film. The one that I love, and I guess it was coming off There Will Be Blood, is The Master. And I think The Master sometimes gets forgotten in the same way Inherent Vice. I don't love Inherent Vice as much as some. All I remember is the really bizarre spanking sequence with
Martin Short.
Yes. With the girl from Alien Covenant.
Yes. Inherent Vice, another movie I watched for 3 months every night in a row.
I never loved it as much as some. There's other people. I guess there is people, and clearly you're one of them. When you get a director, you will be like, I just want to, as you say, absorb every single thing, and then we'll just love everything. I don't have that intense a relationship with Paul Thomas Anderson. Paul, if you're listening, I'm sorry. But his films, it was around a time, and I'm not saying these films were all released right at the same time, when you start watching films, it's like when you go away from... I'm sitting here now going, I love a great big silly blockbuster when it's done well.
Yeah.
Just before the recording, we were talking about, the trailer dropped for the new Mission Impossible movie last week. Do you want to talk about that? Well, we'll keep it for the ramble. I'm as excited about that as much I'll be excited about the next Marty Scorsese film.
Yeah.
And take it from there, or try to think off the top. I'm not even going to start going, this director or that director. There'll always be little indie house directors or a filmmaker go, I saw that film at a festival, I want to go and, as you say, what did they make next, or what did they go from there? Some filmmakers go off to do amazing, wonderful things. Other filmmakers you never hear from again. You'll always have that little gem off a film. But Magnolia was out about a time when I was like, wow, as I say, no pun intended, they're more than pixels on a screen. I can really get into this. Like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I'm not saying right around the same time. Requiem for a Dream, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. We're like, wow, these are amazing things on screen. I love this. I love cinema. And then, because I was talking about this recently to students, fuck's sake, Adam. You know, I didn't give them 20 minutes of us talking about fart jokes. And here, students, fuck, marry, kill, Muppets, go.
Not like any Sesame Street.
No Sesame Street kids. But as a sense, like, not only with Paul Thomas, I want to know everything about Paul Thomas Anderson. You also want to then go, oh, so these are the filmmakers that influenced him? Go watch his movies. Because we're at that weird time, old man in the room here, where there's now filmmakers like Paul Thomas Anderson have influenced filmmakers that have come up behind them. Yeah, like you.
It's proud of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's funny you say Robert Altman is like the first one in his influences, because I'm stupid I didn't even pick it up on myself, because Boogie Nights is basically Nashville, you know?
Yeah.
It's a cast of so many characters that it sort of comes together as a story, but Boogie Nights is Nashville and Scorsese, you would say, whereas Magnolia is like a whole new thing upon itself, because it's hard to sort of, not that it's hard to recommend Magnolia, but you could see being like, this is one of my favorite films to people, and then watch it being like, I don't get it. It's just like, there isn't much happens, and you're like,
all right, let's watch Wild Wild West then.
Stick it on, sure. But you're like, but there is stuff in Magnolia happening all the time in every scene.
Do you think, I'm going to cut across you and basically do you think there's a point with Magnolia, people like it, and then there's the sequence with the frogs, and then people are just like, what the fuck?
I think, yes, I think so. I think if
do you think it was a case with Magnolia that there wasn't a sequence with the frogs, which kind of, Magnolia for some reason in parts kind of reminds me of LA Story. Steve Martin, I'm not saying they're very different films, but that sense of like weather does play a part. There's the constant references to the weather, the temperature, and then the aforementioned sequence with the frogs. And I love LA Story. I mean,
do you know who's great in LA Story? Richard E. Grant.
Yes, he is indeed. Because I remember watching that. I have a vivid memory of watching that late night on TV in my bedroom, and just the whole sequence with the sign, and just balls in my eyes out. Bawling my eyes out, just kind of go. And when I look back to it now, I rewatched it a couple of years ago, and you're like, yeah, it's cheesy, and it's not amazing of a film, but I still really like it as a Steve Martin performance. But I know there's people I've showed that film to, and they're like, why do you love this?
Yeah.
And they go, there's the whole shit with the sign. There's a sign is sentient. Is it really happening? And then, but it comes back to the David Lynch thing. Not everything needs to be explained. Like, I love in the sequence with the frogs, it comes through and it shows our different characters reacting. Some of them, you know, it works out positively, others it's negative. And then it just cuts to, I think, is it Cassie? Her mother comes to the house finally after there's a revelation about her father, I know we're in spoilers, may have possibly abused her, and that has led to her to this life, their distancing of their relationship, and the fact that she's addicted to drugs. But then it kind of zooms in, and it's just a very like, but did it happen? Yeah. And you're just like, it's just a small little thing. And I wonder...
Also, just to cut across you, great zoom-in lens change in that moment. I was watching this with Heidi. She'd never seen it before, and I did the fucking film student. Here, will you see the lens change halfway through? And she was like, I didn't notice anything. Like, doesn't matter.
You're like still fumbling away at her bra.
This film's all for 3 fucking hours.
At least I've got one. And again, other little scene I love in Magnolia, near the end, just before the aforementioned frogs, is they're driving. And it just switches from one I think it's from Cassie. She's in the car. Is she driving in the car? Or no, or maybe it's somebody else. And it's this idea of that all these stories are,
isn't it
seemingly, and they're seemingly, each story you could probably take them out and they could exist on their own merit. But it's the fact that these stories, like the MCU for the kids, they all, at certain points throughout the story, they all kind of connect at certain points.
Is it Julianne Moore and
I think she's
Jim?
I think she's in the car, and then it just cuts, and then it's Cassie's mum is going the other way, and it's the way that it's shot, because I think it kind of comes out of the car, and then goes into her car.
Gorgeous. And that shot reminds me of something in Licorice Pizza as well, because there's something about Paul Thomas Anderson always sort of uses LA. He shoots LA beautifully, and I discovered about myself recently that I just fucking love movies set in LA. Speaking of Robert Altman, The Player with Tim Robbins, and that's a movie that has a bit of an ambiguous ending. Go watch The Player, everybody. It's fantastic. But Magnolia, coming to the end with the frogs, I think at the start of the movie it sets up with 3 short stories that interacts with happenstance and fate and
tall story like this. So you have the story about the guy that jumps off the building, and it's like, is tall tales the right way to be, or kind of
just sort of urban legends?
So he jumped off the building. As he's fallen down, his mother and father are having a fight. She has a gun. She shoots. She misses him, but he gets shot. He gets killed. And then as he's fallen down, there was a safety net installed.
Because people kept throwing himself off the building.
Yeah. So he wouldn't have died.
Yeah.
He was trying to commit suicide, but in the end, she was charged with his murder. And all these kind of hypothetical. I think, actually, I read, possibly in IMDb trivia, that was a kind of like case, not a true case, but a case example used for lawyers.
Oh, yeah?
And I think that's where that kind of emerged from.
Oh, I see.
And then there's the story at the start with our own kind of, is it Patton Oswalt?
Patton Oswalt, yeah.
Patton Oswalt pops up. No, not for long. He just, don't go for a swim, Patton. Don't do it. But I think, again, it's just kind of these kind of, it comes back to, what are the chances?
And I think with Magnolia and its ending with the frogs, I think if somebody was like, what'd you do last night? I went to the cinema. What'd you see? Seeing this film Magnolia, a whole lot of stuff happened, and then all of a sudden frogs just start raining from the sky. It's the same.
What way do you view the frogs?
The frogs?
Yeah, what way do you view that scene with the frogs? Because, I mean, there's some people who go, it's like, it's a sign, like, you look back to, like, it's like a plague, because that was the sign of that. Or, I don't know.
To me,
just some fellows up with a wee plane, just fucking, people will really freak out by this.
To me, it is, there's a out of the 6 stories we have, there's a 7th that is going on simultaneously that we're not watching.
Okay.
That interconnects with these 6 stories. And just because we're not watching it doesn't mean everything else in the world isn't happening. But for these characters, the stuff that's happening right there and right now to those people, that's all they care about in their world. And even though they are simply interacting one another, they don't even know it. Like the dad of the kid doesn't know that Donnie Smith is breaking into a thing, and he doesn't know that the producer of the show is dying. But it's still all connected. So the frogs are people on a plane who are delivering these frogs don't know that their story is connecting to a boy that's on TV pissing himself. You know? And I suppose that's the story of life. There's people that are...
But I guess...
There's people that are listening to this now, getting on with their lives, doing whatever they're doing.
Oh, you're getting deep at it.
But we don't know that we're connected with them. And
we don't ever hear from Danny. We only ever hear from Danny. Danny's still thinking about, oh, well, for fuck's sake, I've got a, if I can't fuck Cookie Monster. But I guess it's true, but it comes back to the idea I mentioned with David. Everything... Frogs came down in the rain, and what?
Yep, that's just what happened.
That's just what happened. There is the sequence, the musical sequence. I think you touched on this, is amazing. It just kind of, because it's another one of those things. It just comes out of nowhere. I think it's Cassie puts on a record. She starts to listen to it, and I guess it's at that moment all those characters are going through similar emotions, similar thoughts to her, and they all start singing the song. Not all collectively in the room. It just kind of cuts to from one scene. I think it goes from her to John C. Reilly's character to
The wee boy's in the library, isn't he?
Yeah.
Singing.
I think it's fab. I think it's just it's a beautiful sequence that just kind of, because there's not really, other than the kind of like tall stories bit, there's nothing really anything out of the ordinary in Magnolia.
Yeah.
Throughout the film. It's really from there, and then it's like, oh, okay. And then maybe about 15, 20 minutes later, you've got the sequence with the frogs. That's it.
And it is funny that this sort of is Paul Thomas Anderson moving into a sort of dream logic, because what year? Mulholland Drive's 2001. And these sort of work well together because both Hollywood films, both films that, not mystery, but deal with trauma in a certain way. And both have an ending that sort of comes out of nowhere. Because, of course, in Mulholland Drive, you have the Granny and Granda that are like the borrowers coming out of a wee blue box. But I wonder if Lynch I know Lynch made Mulholland Drive as a TV pilot, but I wonder if he's seen Magnolia and sort of was not a little bit inspired, but sort of was on the same wavelength as Paul Thomas Anderson at the time.
I just want to clarify, just for you, because it's an audio medium. I quite like that Adam felt the need, even though he was talking about that, he had to make wave.
I did a wee wave like with my hand. But we'll get into Mulholland Drive in a few years when we celebrate the anniversary of Mulholland Drive. But yeah, like you say, with Lynch and the dream logic coming up with stuff, Paul Thomas Anderson then went on after this to do Punch Drunk Love, which is very much...
I think that's his shortest film too, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is very much a movie that, on its face value, if you take it for what it is, it's very much a movie that you're like, what the fuck's this about? A guy that makes plungers that never break? What are you talking about? Why is he punching?
He likes pudding?
He collects pudding and he goes around the world with it. What are you on about? And I think... And also another LA movie.
Isn't it not Emily Watson?
No, it's Emily Watson, isn't it?
Emily Watson. Who's following who?
Yeah.
I love that sequence. When you watch the film for the second time, you maybe don't realise there's a great sequence in that film where I think you think he's following her. But it's like, has she really maybe been stalking / following him?
I think, isn't it? He goes to the supermarket and you see her in the dress.
Yes.
In just out of focus.
Yeah.
And you're like, hold on a second.
Yeah. And then I know Mark Kermode talks a lot about it being a kind of Superman analogy as well.
Because he wears the blue, the white and the red, and he can have incredible feats of strength.
Yeah. Punch Drunk, I mean, I'm actually got it because I was looking through there on IMDb. I was like, I forgot to mention Punch Drunk Love.
Maybe Philip Seymour Hoffman's greatest performance.
Well, come on. He is the guy that sharded.
True. He also has a great fall in Along Came Polly. But his fucking shut up.
I do love Philip Seymour Hoffman, and I mean he's only in this in a small but very important role because we haven't really touched on Tom Cruise, and I'm kind of glad we haven't because I know the studio wanted to market this as a Tom Cruise picture, and then they were like, no, this is an ensemble. When you look at it now, it is a pretty damn impressive ensemble.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that Tom Cruise was uncomfortable with the role, this ultra-chauvinist self-help guru for men to kind of get the women that they wanted with his chauvinist agenda. And he wasn't necessarily certain he felt he could play the role. But what I love, it's the use of all the Tom Cruise isms, like the big grin.
Yeah.
And it's perfect. I would say, and I know we've got questions, well, not questions, but we put some of these out to the audience on social media. We have got quite a few comments back this week. But I love how it uses all the things we love from Tom Cruise normally. And I mean, I love Tom Cruise doing Ethan Hunt, right? I've mentioned earlier on Mission Impossible. He is Mr. kind of, I will try my best to single-handedly save Hollywood.
Yeah.
If he can. I will defend the big budget, ultra big budget, summer blockbuster, Top Gun Maverick, Mission Impossible. Tom, you could do anything, mate, and I'll go see it in the cinema. But I also love it when he does his own little different projects.
It's when it was in that era of doing auteur, like you had Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah.
You had
What's the one he did with Scorsese?
Colour Money.
Yeah.
Born on 4th of July, Days of Thunder.
Some might say he was doing what Leo did and chased an Oscar.
Well, yeah, of course.
And I know he got nominated for this. He's nominated. He's never won an Oscar. Possibly as a producer.
I would say
Don't think maybe as a producer, but not as for an acting award. He's never won. He was nominated for this, and I was kind of going, how the hell did he not win the Oscar that year? And I'm just going to go through. So off the top of your head, I know I've already told you who won. So the winner that year was Michael Caine, The Cider House Rules, fair dues. Probably up there with Jaws of Revenge. Michael Caine, maybe A Muppet's Christmas Carol, Michael Caine's finest performance.
Unironically, yes.
Yes. So, we've also know Tom Cruise was a nominee. So that leaves us 3 other possible contenders that year. And I'm still surprised that Michael Robart was not up.
Can you give me, would you know the directors of the 3 other movies?
I think one I know the name of, but I think I actually don't know if it's the correct one. One I think just gives it away, and the other one I don't know who directed it. So let me just, as we use our one proper IMDb, I think we're going to do this in the pod. We're going to allow each other like a little IMDb break. So if we can't remember something, it's like, right, okay, we're going to go on IMDb. So this is mine.
Because usually we're good.
Well,
wow.
Usually I just edit it out. But I think that's what we're going to do. So let me just go say, I have my suspicion on who directed this movie, but I just wanted to be certain.
Who directed Big Mama's House 2?
I was correct. Okay. So I feel you're going to get this from one. So one was directed by Frank Darabont.
Best supporting, so it would have been... Would it have been Morgan Freeman?
Nope.
That's not the right year.
So you've got the director. So let me see. The next director on the course was Anthony Minghella. How you didn't know directed this. And the last one was M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
Oh. So Samuel L. Jackson for Unbreakable?
Nope.
Bruce Willis for Sixth Sense?
No.
Haley Joel Osment for Sixth Sense?
So, do you want me to just give you a list? So, we have Michael Caine, The Cider House Rules, Tom Cruise, Magnolia, Michael Clark Duncan for The Green Mile, Jude Law for The Talented Mr. Ripley,
which also has a great Philip Seymour Hoffman role,
and Haley Joel Osment for The Sixth Sense. That's a pretty good list.
Haley Joel Osment being nominated for that is pretty wild.
Yeah, because I'm kind of going. I was watching this guy. I literally when I was watching Magnolia, going, I'm going to go my phone here. I did my one IMDb timeout. How was Jason Robards not nominated for this? Because it was only up for 3 awards. It's soundtrack,
well deserved.
Soundtrack. Tom Cruise was up, and I guess this counts because it's part of the plot, and something else.
It's funny. It's funny that
it's easier on the phone one.
Who would you even call the main star of this? Julianne Moore, and
I guess would you not go and say that it's Earl? Because it's pretty much his. In many ways, it's his impending death is the thrust. Both, I guess, Jason Robards and I guess maybe
Philip Baker Hall.
Yeah, their impending deaths are the catalyst for setting off these two, the two main stories in the movie, and then our supporting actors within that. I guess you've got the old shoveler himself, William Macy, his finest role. He's in there as well in his own little story, which I know connects to other things as well. But
I like you're like the shoveler is his finest role. Into my head, I'm just like, what about Wild Hogs?
Fight you about it, mate. Yeah, I'm trying to think where else, because normally we get rambling. I think we've got quite passionate on this. I do like this film. I don't love it as much as you, and I come back to the point. I mean, I think at the time it was the Tom Cruise was the draw for me, and that sequence, the interview sequence, and do the way there's the TikTok thing. It's like scene. I think we Banterflix, we should create one. Scenes that give off the same energy. Tom Cruise, when he's been interviewed, and who he is, and this mysterious figure, and this role that he plays with this group, this self-help group, and there's the sequence where she's like, "Well, that's not actually your name. I checked, and this, that, and other. Your father is still alive, and your mother died when you were very, very young." And he just sits there and just stares, and it's like, I can't remember the exact line. It's like, "I'm just silently judging you." Just silently judging you. And he's basically, and I'm not going to say the name of the celeb. I haven't had an interview like that where they have said, "Right, we're going to give you 5 minutes." 5 minutes is exactly what you're getting. You could be middle of the sentence. "Yeah, that's us done. Bye, thanks." And you're like, but I thought we were doing really well. But there's a sequence in the film where Tom Cruise just silently judging his interviewer, and Paddington in Paddington 2 with a cold stare. With a stare. Those two scenes, same energy.
Also, it is weird that Tom Cruise takes his hat off and there's a marmalade sandwich underneath it. Strange.
Obviously, that's where I went. But that scene, and again, it's the use of the score, is just like, there's the music. Because of course we should say, well, Paul Thomas Anderson, he's done a lot of music vids, like the likes of Fincher. That's, I guess, isn't that where he kind of started out from, doing music vids?
Thomas Anderson?
Yeah. No, he just started doing them afterwards.
He had
he'd done a few, I think, after, like, for Fiona Apple.
Fiona Apple.
And if you ain't Fiona Apple, I don't give a damn. Reference to last week's pod.
Because I think he dated Fiona Apple. And
he has done quite a lot. I think more recently.
Yes. Because obviously she was in Licorice Pizza.
Yeah.
And Paul Thomas Anderson is married to Myra Rudolph now.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky man. No, he made the Sydney short movie, which got financing for him to make Hard 8.
There you go.
And then that's how he got started. But
you old Paul Thomas Anderson nerd. Listeners, I just want to say, Adam gave me a cold hard stare when I said, "Didn't he start out in music videos?" And Adam just glared and went, "No, Jim." No, he did not.
There's a great documentary on YouTube. It's on a DVD, but it's on YouTube. It's
the YouTube. It's about an hour 45 minutes, all about the making of Magnolia. Highly recommend it. Shorter than this pod.
Well, highly recommend it to film students,
fellow Andersonies,
fellow nerds, because it is very much from literally starting writing on the page to the premiere. And also you get to see how funny Paul Thomas Anderson is with the stress of the world on his shoulders.
How funny is Paul Thomas Anderson? How funny is Paul Thomas Anderson with the stress of the world on his shoulders?
Very funny, because he's having a fucking mental breakdown.
Well, I think, hasn't he said somewhere that he says he might make other films than Magnolia? And even for early on in his career, he says he maintains he'll never make a film better than Magnolia.
Yeah. Well,
as an Anderson-y, would you agree?
No, I think Punch Drunk Love is a better film. But I don't think he'd ever make a movie better than Punch Drunk Love.
What about The Master, where Amy Adams chugs Philip Seymour Hoffman? No, not... No, it is.
It is, yeah.
She chugs Philip Seymour Hoffman off.
Over the sink?
Yeah.
Great. Oh, see The Master, man. People that fucking blow the dick of Joker and Joker 2 have clearly never seen You Were Never Really There and The Master for Joaquin Phoenix giving the fucking performance of a lifetime. It's so good. Also great in that movie, Jesse Plemons as Philip Seymour Hoffman's son. Perfect casting apart from Cooper Hoffman, Philip Seymour Hoffman's actual son, who is incredible in everything he's been in so far.
Good call.
Because I watched Saturday Night, the SNL movie that's coming out soon. Not a great movie, but him in it, ooh, Hachi Mama. He is his father incarnate. It's fantastic.
Okay, I have that to look forward to. Well, what else? The floor is yours. As someone who is an Anderson fan, clearly the bigger Anderson fan in the room, other than the fact that I quite liked it, that it was that time when kind of Banterflix wasn't founded after watching Magnolia, but the idea of watching a film like Magnolia and going to like the pub afterwards and sitting down and going, what the fuck was that all about?
Yeah.
And you're like, I loved it. And then some of you fell in the back going, here, I happen to fucking think that wee 6-year-old in the back was like, here lads, I happen to think that there was just a fella going around a wee plane just throwing out frogs. Never seen him the whole way through the film. It was a wee black child. That was him.
Just going, hello my baby, hello my honey, hello my ragtime girl.
So yeah, other than the fact that, as I say, that was watching a film like Magnolia when I was, in my early teens, in my late teens, kind of going, oh wow, I kind of want to chat about movies after watching the film and kind of want to know more about the making of them. Clearly, of the two of us, I say you're the bigger fan. So what else would you like to talk about? I mean, we've touched on Tom Cruise. Mm-hmm. What else would you like to... Would you say this is Cruise's finest performances or anything else? Before we allow ourselves to go down the Tom Cruise tunnel, what else would you like to talk about Magnolia?
The music, the score is basically like a ticking clock. And it is a motif that Anderson uses a lot of in this and Punch Drunk Love, because they sort of are movies that are pushing you forward. Like in Hair and Face, there is no real push forward in
other than his hand on her bottom.
And what do you call him? Josh?
Catherine Watterson.
Watterson, yeah. And
it was just a weird scene that came out of nowhere. And I just remember going, oh, Jesus.
James Brolin giving the funniest, isn't James? Yeah. His, when he's ordering the Chinese food.
Yeah.
Licorice Pizza, there is no real push. Phantom Thread, there is no real push. And for the score to sort of inherently give you some sort of fucking anxiety attack, it's what the Safdies sort of brought into like Uncut Gems and Good Times, where they sort of pull from. That the score, like, because if you listen to the score by itself, it's jazz, like it's sort of, there is no real rhythm to it, but then when it's connected with the scene, there is a weird rhythm to it, especially Punch Drunk Love, where he uses the She Needs Me song from Robert Altman's Popeye movie, where you're like, why? Nobody would ever think of using Robert Altman's Popeye for fucking anything. But Shelley Duvall singing He Needs Me, He Needs Me, He Needs Me, is just incredible. I could sit here all day, Jim, and suck the dick of Paul Thomas Anderson. I'm not going to lie to you. But he has never made a bad movie. He has a new movie coming out next year with Leo. Mm-hmm. And he's talking to Denzel Washington at the minute because they want to make a movie together about, I think it's a jazz singer, which is weird because Denzel's already done that with Spike Lee and Mo Better Blues. But he hasn't made anything that I do not like. There is some stuff I like more than others. Phantom Thread, for me, is probably at the bottom of my list, even though I do love it. And it is also weird to me that Paul Thomas Anderson at one point was like, you know what my favourite movie this year was? Venom 2.
Maybe said with irony. I don't know.
I don't think he was. I think the interview was like, my kids love those Marvel movies, so it was good. Venom 2. I could just imagine him just sat there.
Well, maybe he can just go in and switch off and think about frogs.
True. Maybe he was like, he's a big Reece Shearsmith fan. And he was like, oh, I wonder what Paul Thomas Anderson thought of Venom 3.
Should at this point, we then, because it's just been you and I, should we then open it out and kind of say, well, we put this out and here we go. So, kicking things off, we have on our Instagram feed Stephen Mullen, who says a masterpiece of a film, shows maturity and skill of a such then young director. I guess you would agree with that, Adam.
Mm-hmm.
We then have Joe Lindsay from BBC fame, who I haven't spoken to Joe in a while. So now he's not. I'm in a minority in that I don't really rate it. Style over substance. If IMHO, what does that mean?
What is it?
IMHO.
IMHO. In my honest opinion.
Okay, there we go.
Two old men. What does that mean?
And it's only a good Cruise performance, as it's a no-brainer from him. That's not a kick in the arse away from his repugnant character. I wouldn't say Tom's that. Will Benson says Tame the Cock, brilliant film. All right. And Abe Smith, who was one of the directors who entered in The Dark Ages this year, says he's a huge fan, and yes, maybe Cruise at his peak paired with... I was thinking about this actually watching the movie, so Abe, great minds think alike. Les Grossman from Tropic Thunder. Because I love it when Cruise takes risks.
Oh, yeah. Because we've talked before about Rock of Ages.
Yeah, I love it when he takes risks because he kind of pops up. Because there was the time when he was kind of single-handedly kind of keeping the big sci-fi blockbuster one and done gone. Like when he kind of did a lot of those in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So he was in like Edge of Tomorrow, Oblivion with Film I Love. I think there's talk. I think that's happening. Is it a sequel? Or there was talk of that. Yes, he does kind of pop up in stuff like Night and Day, where it's okay. It's Tom Cruise and autopilot.
You got to pay the bills.
You do. Even Tom
does.
Cruise needs to pay the bills. The electric's going up, but
Tom Cruise never runs out of heating.
No. Tell you what, there's another film I love from Tom Cruise that came out of nowhere for me. I didn't think the trailer looked that great. American Made.
That's a pretty good film.
I think he's pretty good at Doug Liman.
Yes.
Yeah, pops up in that. I think he's great in that. It's Dumal Gleeson. Isn't that, I think, hasn't he played the CIA agent? And yes, of course, everyone will then go, The Mummy.
Oh,
The Mummy. But that's when you have bad Cruise. When you have a project that's meant to be not an ensemble, but something to kick off a franchise, and it's really a Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah, that's when the two... Tom, it's weird that, like we said, with Tom Cruise... when he was in his fucking auteur era of working with all these directors, whenever he sort of became the jumping on the sofa Tom Cruise, that's when he became a brand on his own of a guy that, like, you can't have big personality like Spielberg and big personality like Tom Cruise and put them together because they just don't mix. Even though War of the Worlds, I like it for what it is, but what Spielberg was able to do with Cruise in Minority Report is a completely different Cruise from what he is in War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
It was just crazy, but that's just how he evolved as a person in that time.
I think it's the sense that I don't know if I can ever believe Cruise is the everyman.
Mm-hmm.
I think which actually I'm going to say that, and then he does in Edge of Tomorrow, but it works because he is the everyman for a very short period in the movie, and then he transforms into Tom Cruise. He runs and saves the world.
In Edge of Tomorrow, they do the smart thing where he is like the Colonel General thing.
And not likeable.
Not likeable, who has to be humbled by getting killed over and over again.
Yeah.
So it is pretty smart in that.
And in Tropic Thunder, he's great.
Yeah.
Because did that kind of come around the time when he was kind of post... That was kind of the post when the Scientology stuff really was front and centre. I think, was that the breakup with his marriage?
Yeah, Katie Holmes.
So he was kind of like, he wasn't Tom Cruise has never not been A-list, but he wasn't like the box office success or the box office draw they thought he would be. It's like, it's a bit like you kind of go Will Smith, you know, it's like, he's done that. Let's put him in something a bit left field, and if it draws an audience, we'll bring him back.
Like, do you remember Valkyrie?
Yeah.
It was like, that just seems like safe Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Although I like Valkyrie.
Valkyrie is good, and it did kickstart the Macquarie Cruise relationship. So, because it's directed by a bad man, but
True.
You know, there is a good came out of it that led to better movies after that, and I wish...
And Hitler died? In the end, not in the film, but he does die.
That's always good to hear.
Yeah.
I kind of wish, well, here's a wee tease for next week. I kind of wish Will Smith would come back and do Wild Wild West too, because I think something fun and silly like that. I think people respect the new Bad Boys movies, even though they're not amazing movies. But at least it's Smith being a little sillier again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for years Smith was doing either I want to be taken as serious, or when he went on that I need an Oscar. You're like, but you were never that. You were never that fucking sort of actor.
Got his Oscar though.
And
he got to slap Chris Rock.
Yeah.
So I think will we bring this pod to a close?
Also, shout out to Stephen Mullen that wrote in, who was one of my lecturers in college, way back, who's influenced me. I know I wasn't probably the best student, but old Stephen showed me cool things that made me want to go on to watch cooler things. So,
Fraggle Rock.
Dan and Fraggle Rock.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah, I like the fact you had to go for the full feature. So anything else you want to talk about? Because I know we're going to wrap up with another Beatdown. Because I thought we would maybe be inspired, because Beatdown proved to be a huge success in the first week.
Everybody loved it.
Everyone loved it. They were actually talking about it on... We were trending. Actually, I was going to say we're going to say something different now, but we were trending. Hashtag Beatdowns.
I think you were thinking about the Jake Paul fight the other week.
Hashtag Beatdowns. Everyone was talking about it. Like, oh my God, can't believe he went down in the 9th or whatever. I don't know.
2 minutes to watch sports. Can't believe he got...
I do watch sports. I watch football, but I couldn't think of second half. What a beatdown.
See, because boxing is never as good as like Rocky.
No.
Do you know?
Well, apart from that one fight with Muhammad Ali, the Rumble in the Jungle. That's kind of as Rocky as you're going to get in real life.
Yeah. Or when Mo made Homer fight Mike Tyson.
So I thought, because the beatdowns, as I say, were so successful, you know, huge success. Huge. I can't do it, Donald Trump. Huge.
I've been trying to do one for ages. Huge success.
Huge success. Mega success.
Great people.
That's De Niro. But anyway, I thought we would do another beatdown. Now, last week it was musical themed. Now, because this week we have Magnolia, and as we mentioned, Tom Cruise plays this chauvinist self-help guru who deep down just needed a hug from his dad after his mum died. Spoiler, as we come to the end of the pod.
Hope you didn't want to watch
it. But I thought maybe we could do like a little kind of like presentation, kind of like, you know, trying to motivate people, or, you know, I don't, what way would you call this? What type of beatdown would you refer to this as? Speech?
Yeah, like a wee mission statement,
but not an impossible mission.
I was about to do the fucking
music. Doom, doom, doom.
I was about to do what do you call them? The Incredibles music.
Okay, so if I remember right, didn't you go first last time?
Yes.
So I think I'll go first this time. Okay. So I want to just make it clear. So this week, because there was controversy last week, you just covered a song with a cardboard voice. I did come up with an original song, but I needed help from AI. So this week, I have done this completely myself, and I tried to channel my inner Tom Cruise in Magnolia, and I'm worried as I do say this that I might maybe turn into an American accent and possibly into an American kind of Baptist of evangelical preacher. I think. Okay, Adam, you ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Okay, listeners, I want to talk to you now about the perils of pre-festive ejaculation. Respect December and tame those Christmas thoughts while it's still that time of the month. Now, I'm no Scrooge, but if you've your tree up already, you're heading to the Christmas markets, you've got your festive jumpers on, I am warning you now, there's a chance you could be sick of it by the time the big man climbs down your chimney. Ooh, our missus. You gotta tame those Christmassy thoughts. Adam, respect December. There's no need to be a cotton-headed ninny nuggins in November. Don't be watching Elf. There's plenty of time for that next month. Those Mises, they still have plenty of those cheeses. I'm telling you, one last time. Tame those festive thoughts. Don't be a November dick about old Saint Nick.
Yeah. Now, I'm actually quite impressed that you wrote anything. Because when you brought this forward, I was like, it's got a free wheel up. It's got a free ball on the day. I'll get it sorted. But yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I'm behind you.
Yeah.
Now you ready for my...
I just want to clarify. I'm not anti-Christmas. Christmas in December.
Yeah.
Christmas in December. Wah, wah, wah. God, I didn't think about that.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Yeah. Beat down.
Is that water I see in your bowl? Best not be. Carrots? Potatoes? Where's the OXO? OXO. Give me that besto. Why isn't this stew thick? Watery. Like the stream coming from the morns. I want to be able to build a house with my stew. Potatoes. Meat. Other assortment of vegetables. I want to be able to hold it over my head like a war-torn country's porridge. Never a drop to be hitting the ground. Sauce, you say? Has enough flavour to last the whole bowl. A second bowl? A second day stew? Even thicker. Brown sauce? Bennett. Ketchup? Fucking what are you talking about? Stew should be as thick as the shit that it makes. There we go. That's my...
What I liked in particular about that little presentation you gave was that for no part reason, just in the middle of it, with one word, you turned into Shrek.
What did it say?
Watery.
Watery.
You went a second, that'll do, donkey. That'll do. So you're not with your stew. You don't want it watery.
No.
And you don't want any sauce.
No.
No, I would be the same as you. And it's, to be honest, I make stew. Now, do you put Guinness in your stew?
I don't mind it.
Put a bit of Guinness in your stew. I'll make it and it's like slow cooker overnight. Next day, bish bash bosh, done. It's like, Now, do you get stew and then does your mummy serve you up like an extra, like, do you want some potatoes with your stew? It's like, Mum, there's potatoes in it. But you want some mash with it?
No. I think, like, the way my dad would make stew is weird because he uses tinned carrots.
Oh,
I know. Spuds, mince.
What mince? What kind of mince?
I think big fat mince. Like a 20%er.
From Marty's Meats?
Just
because we're on brand.
Then, yes.
Yeah.
Marty only does 75% fat mince.
Yeah.
He's like, if you're not getting the juice from it, then what's the point?
If you're not... actually, let me... Well, we'll see. Hang on a minute. Marty... Do you do low-fat mince? I love the way I'm an aggressive texter.
You have to for Marty.
Yeah, you have to caps lock it, everything.
Yeah.
Everything has to, because he can hear it.
It's like Braille for the eyes.
He's his wee glasses on, but he needs to hear because you have to shout it at him. Oh, hang on, he's responding.
The wee 3 dots are coming up.
Yeah. He just says, fuck off.
Oh, well, fair enough.
Actually, I think I've got a voice note. Hang on a minute. What's that you say, Marty? Oh, fuck yourself. All right. We're going to play a clip of the next movie we're going to be talking about to wrap up this 99 retrospective, the best year of cinema, and then you can introduce the movie.
Don't you just hate that song? Why, y'all look like you seen a ghost. It's me. dear friends. Alive and kicking. Well, alive anyway. We may have lost the war, but heaven knows we haven't lost our sense of humor. No. Not even when we lost a lung, a spleen, a bladder, 2 legs, 35 feet of small intestine, and our ability to reproduce, all in the name of the South? Do we ever lose our sense of humor?
That is, of course, Sir Kenneth Branagh as American...
Capital S-I-R.
as
Belfast's own
Dr. Lovelace, in one of the best movies of all time, The Wild Wild West. Because we covered Maverick on the TV show, which was also a TV show, but that got turned into a movie. And then Wild Wild West is also a TV show that got turned into a movie, because they were like, we can jump on the back of Maverick, its success, and they didn't.
But we'll talk about that more next week. So that pretty much wraps up this pod. And we have a few things, as we've mentioned throughout this pod, in the works. We are working on our Christmas special. The Christmas quiz has just been officially announced, and I believe, Adam, we might be recording a podcast after the quiz, where we might just be looking at maybe. I think the best way is possibly our Christmas listings guide, where we'll have some of the TV guides out and kind of picking our movies. Maybe get tables there to pick out some movies, or if it's just us, just talking about Christmas movies we might be watching on Freeview television. I hear a lot of people going, "Oh, I'm sorry, what is this thing you're talking about? Is that not Netflix?" Over the festive season, so you've that to look forward to. You can look forward to previous episodes of our TV show. At this point, I should say thank you very much to Joe McElroy for stepping in last week. As I mentioned in the start of this record, my mum was in an accident. She is well, but it just meant there was no chance of me getting to the cinema to see Gladiator 2, etc. I'm back in the big seat this week. You've that to look forward to. We're going to be talking about Wicked. We're going to be talking about My Old Ass, and we're going to be talking about that festive delight that is Charlize Theron's performance in Monster. Because that's getting re-released just in time for your Christmas list. 3 interesting films, 3 very different. As we know, we all love musicals. Adam, of course, you were on that show with Mr. McElroy and the lovely Claire McCulloch. You can find that on our YouTube channel. And I believe we'll end on this note. I think Claire's going to be fun.
Oh, yes, of course.
So someone got in touch with us after we announced where we're doing another Dark Hedges quiz, just one for a wee fundraiser, just for next year's programme, because we're going to get down early this year. And the first question, I was like, really excited about the quiz, mate? Will Claire be hosted again? I said, yeah, I just got in touch. I'll not name them. It's like, not this time, I'm afraid. We're just going to keep Claire for Halloween. This is a small scale thing. This is not. Claire is used to extravagance, style, sophistication.
She's a busy woman.
She's a lot of stuff going on the week before Christmas, and I was like, Claire, can't be asking her all the time. So I said, not this time, I'm afraid. To which I got one of my favourite ever responses ever to a question on Instagram. No problem. She was entertaining. But the other chaps are equally as good. Thanks. So there you go, Claire McCulloch, you've got wee fan.
And just to let everybody know, our tits are just as nice.
Yeah, I look forward to working with you again soon, Claire. Okay, so on that note, thank you very much for listening. Adam, thank you very much for taking part in this deep dive of all things Paul Thomas Anderson.
Thank you.
Respect the cock.
Respect the cock. Say cock is Julianne Moore.
Respect the cock. Bye-bye.
Bye.